Meri Brown reveals intriguing insight into life after ditching Kody amid huge new update and unexpected living situation. Meri Brown, one of the most talked-about stars of Sister Wives, continues to surprise fans with her evolving journey after leaving Kody Brown. In the past year, she has taken bold steps to carve out a life that no longer revolves around Kody, the polygamous lifestyle, or the complicated dynamics that once dictated her every move. Now, with an unexpected living situation unfolding and a huge new update shaking up her story, Meri is proving that she is done living in the past. For years, Meri's position in the Brown family seemed like a never-ending struggle. After her divorce from Kody in 2014, so he could legally marry Robyn Brown and adopt her children, Meri held on to the relationship even as Kody's affection waned. She endured years of emotional neglect, public rejection, and heartbreaking revelations that made it clear Kody no longer wanted her as a wife. Still, she stayed, hoping for a miracle that never came. But when Christine and Yanel Brown walked away, the writing was on the wall. Meri could no longer pretend that she had a place in Kody's life. She finally took the plunge, announcing her decision to leave the marriage in early 2023. Since then, fans have been eagerly watching to see what's next for Meri. At first, it seemed like she was simply focusing on her business ventures, particularly her bed and breakfast, Liz's Heritage Inn, in Utah. But now, she's dropping major hints that there is more to her post-Kody life than meets the eye. In a recent revelation, Meri opened up about a new chapter that has both stunned and intrigued her supporters. She shared that she's embracing a completely different way of living, one that no one expected, and it's clear she's not looking back. Meri has always been a private person, but she's been sharing more about her personal growth in the past year. In a recent social media post, she reflected on how much she's changed since stepping away from Kody and the toxic dynamic of their marriage. She admitted that, for years, she was stuck in a cycle of waiting for Kody to love her again, waiting for the family to accept her fully, waiting for things to get better. Now, she's done waiting. She's taking control of her own life, making choices based on what makes her happy, not what pleases others. One of the biggest surprises came when Meri hinted at an unexpected shift in her living situation. For a long time, fans assumed she would permanently stay in Utah, running her bed and breakfast and living a quiet life away from the drama. But new clues suggest that Meri is exploring something entirely different. She's been traveling frequently, spending time in multiple states, and engaging in activities that indicate she may not be settling down in one place just yet. In a cryptic message, she spoke about embracing a season of change and finding joy in the unknown. Speculation is running wild about where Meri could be headed. Some fans believe she's considering relocating to Arizona permanently, despite her past struggles there. Others think she might be planning to live a more nomadic lifestyle, traveling and working on various projects. One thing is clear, she's no longer tied to the expectations that once held her back. Meri has also been seen spending more time with people outside of the Brown family, further fueling rumors that she's building a new support system. Another significant revelation came when Meri discussed her emotional journey since leaving Kody. She admitted that, for a long time, she didn't even realize how unhappy she was. She was so used to being in survival mode that she didn't know what true freedom felt like. Now that she's out of that environment, she's seeing things more clearly. She no longer feels the need to prove herself to Kody or seek validation from a family that never fully embraced her. She's focusing on herself, her happiness, and the future she wants to create. Meri's transformation hasn't gone unnoticed by fans. Many have expressed their support, praising her for finally stepping into her own power. They've noticed a shift in her energy. She looks happier, more confident, and at peace. Unlike the Meri who spent years holding on to a dead relationship, this new version of her is thriving. She's smiling more, traveling more, and openly embracing new experiences. But not everyone is convinced that Meri's journey is as smooth as it seems. Some critics believe she is still struggling with deep wounds from her time with Kody. They argue that, despite her efforts to move forward, there are moments where she seems conflicted. In some interviews, Meri has acknowledged that leaving behind decades of memories isn't easy. She's admitted that healing is a process, and there are still days when she grapples with the past. However, she's also made it clear that she has no intention of going back. One of the most intriguing aspects of Meri's post-Kody life is how she's handling relationships. While she hasn't publicly confirmed a new romance, there have been whispers that she may be opening herself up to love again. Some fans have pointed out her interactions with male friends, sparking rumors that she might be testing the waters. However, Meri has been cautious, stating that she's focusing on self-love and personal growth before jumping into another relationship. There's also been speculation about Meri's future in the Sister Wives franchise. With Christine and Yanel already out and Robyn being Kody's only remaining wife, many wonder if the show can survive. Meri has been tight-lipped about whether she plans to continue participating, but her recent comments suggest she's not as invested in the show as she once was. She's mentioned wanting to tell her own story, on her own terms, which could mean stepping away from the show entirely or pursuing independent projects. One of the most shocking revelations came when Meri addressed her financial independence. For years, fans questioned how she managed to sustain her lifestyle after leaving Kody. She finally set the record straight, revealing that she has built multiple income streams through her businesses, brand partnerships, and investments. Unlike Kody and Robyn, who have been struggling financially, Meri seems to be in a stable position. She's made it clear that she doesn't need sister wives to survive, which gives her the freedom to make choices that align with her happiness. As Meri continues to redefine her life, one thing is clear: she's not the same woman she was during her years with Kody. She has broken free from the patterns that once held her back, embracing a future that is entirely her own. Whether she decides to stay in Utah, move to a new state, or travel the world, one thing is certain: she's finally putting herself first. Her journey serves as an inspiration to many who have found themselves stuck in situations where they feel unseen and unloved. By choosing herself, Meri has shown that it's never too late to start over. She may have spent years fighting for a place in Kody's life, but now, she's fighting for something far more important: her own happiness. With each new update, Meri continues to prove that she is no longer bound by the past. She has stepped into a new chapter, one filled with possibilities, unexpected changes, and the kind of freedom she once only dreamed of. Whatever comes next, one thing is for sure: Meri Brown is finally living on her own terms, and she's never looking back. Paedon Brown crashes out in rambling cameo admitting he's racist and sexist. The Brown family from Sister Wives has had their fair share of scandals, but the latest bombshell involving Paedon Brown might just be one of the most shocking yet. The 25-year-old son of Christine and Kody Brown has always been outspoken, but his recent cameo video has left fans stunned and disgusted. In what can only be described as a bizarre and self-destructive rant, Paedon admitted to being both racist and sexist, setting off a storm of backlash that could permanently damage his reputation. Paedon has long been known for his unfiltered opinions and willingness to stir up controversy, but his latest outburst was a disaster of his own making. He had been using Cameo, a platform where fans can pay celebrities for personalized video messages, as a side hustle, offering his thoughts and behind-the-scenes details about Sister Wives. While some fans enjoyed his candid nature, others found him problematic, as he often made comments that were perceived as insensitive or dismissive of his family's struggles. But nothing could have prepared anyone for what happened in his most recent video. During what should have been a routine message for a fan, Paedon spiraled into a chaotic, rambling monologue where he shockingly admitted to holding racist and sexist beliefs. His tone was casual, as if he didn't fully grasp the weight of his words, but the statements he made were anything but harmless. As he laughed and stumbled through his words, he essentially confessed to attitudes that many people find deeply offensive and unacceptable. The video quickly made its way to social media, where it spread like wildfire. Fans who once supported Paedon were horrified, while critics who had always been wary of him now felt validated in their concerns. The backlash was immediate and unforgiving. Viewers condemned him for his disturbing remarks, questioning how someone raised in such a public family could be so brazenly problematic. Many called for him to be held accountable, with some even demanding that Cameo remove him from the platform entirely. What made the situation even worse was Paedon's lack of awareness about how damaging his words were. He didn't seem to recognize that what he was saying could destroy his reputation. Instead, he carried on as if he were making an offhanded joke, oblivious to the storm he was creating. His nonchalant attitude only fueled the outrage, with fans pointing out that this wasn't just an awkward slip of the tongue, it was an admission of deeply ingrained biases. As the backlash intensified, people began dissecting Payton's past behavior, looking for signs that this moment had been building up for a while. Some recalled previous interviews where he made questionable remarks about his mother, Christine, and his sisters, which now seemed to hint at his sexist attitudes. Others pointed out his history of making politically charged comments that leaned into far-right ideologies. His critics argued that this wasn't just a one-time incident, but rather part of a larger pattern that had gone unchecked for too long. Payton's family, particularly his mother Christine and his sisters, were put in an incredibly difficult position. Christine, who had long been seen as one of the most level-headed members of the Brown family, suddenly found herself associated with a scandal she never could have anticipated. Fans who once adored her now questioned how her son could have developed such views. His sisters, some of whom had already distanced themselves from him, were reportedly furious, unwilling to defend him or his actions. Meanwhile, Kody Brown's reaction remained a mystery. The patriarch of the sister wives family has always had complicated relationships with his children, and Payton was no exception. In the past, Payton had openly criticized Kody, exposing the dysfunctional father-son dynamic that had only worsened over the years. Some speculated that Kody might seize this moment as an opportunity to completely disown Payton, further cementing their estrangement. Others believed that Kody would remain silent, unwilling to address yet another controversy involving his fractured family. The fallout from Payton's cameo meltdown extended beyond the sister wives fanbase. His comments reached a much broader audience, drawing attention from people who had never even watched the show. News outlets picked up the story, amplifying the controversy and increasing the pressure on him to respond. The more people saw the video, the more disgusted they became, with many demanding that he issue an immediate apology. But Payton remained shockingly quiet in the aftermath. Rather than quickly addressing the situation and expressing regret, he seemed to go into hiding, ignoring the growing calls for accountability. His silence only made matters worse, as it left people wondering whether he truly stood by his words or if he simply didn't care about the damage he had done. Eventually, after days of intense backlash, Payton finally attempted to do damage control. In a hastily written social media post, he tried to explain himself, claiming that his words had been taken out of context and that he never meant to offend anyone. He insisted that he wasn't actually racist or sexist but had misspoken in a moment of poor judgment. However, his apology rang hollow to many, as he failed to take full responsibility for his actions. Instead of acknowledging the pain his words had caused, he seemed more concerned with salvaging his image. Fans were not convinced. They saw his statement as nothing more than an attempt to quiet the outrage without actually changing his mindset. Many pointed out that if he truly regretted his words, he would take concrete steps to educate himself and make amends. Some called for him to step away from the public eye altogether, arguing that he should not be given a platform if he holds such offensive views. Cameo, the platform that had given Payton a space to share his unfiltered thoughts, also faced pressure to take action. Many users demanded that he be removed from the site, arguing that allowing him to continue profiting off his fanbase would be irresponsible. Whether Cameo will take decisive action remains to be seen, but the controversy has already done significant damage to Payton's reputation. The Brown family, already struggling with their own internal fractures, now faces yet another crisis. Christine, who has worked so hard to rebuild her life after leaving Kody, must now deal with the fallout from her son's actions. Her fans, who once admired her strength and independence, now find themselves questioning how she will handle this situation. Will she publicly denounce Payton's words, or will she attempt to quietly distance herself from the controversy? As for Payton himself, the road ahead looks grim. Once a fan favorite for his outspoken nature, he has now alienated much of his audience. His brand has been tainted, and his future in the public eye is uncertain. If he hopes to salvage any part of his reputation, he will need to do much more than issue a half-hearted apology. True accountability requires action, and as of now, Payton has yet to prove that he is willing to change. For the Sister Wives franchise, this is yet another scandal in a long list of controversies that have plagued the Brown family. While fans have grown accustomed to drama, this particular incident hits differently. It's not just about family feuds or messy relationships, it's about deeply offensive beliefs that have no place in today's world. Robyn's recent cruel jabs fly over Kody's head? In the complex world of sister wives, where family dynamics are always shifting and tensions are never far from the surface, Robyn Brown has found herself at the center of yet another firestorm. Known for her somewhat manipulative tendencies and complex relationship with her fellow wives, Robyn's recent behavior has once again sparked controversy among fans and critics alike. But what has caught people's attention this time isn't just her typical drama-filled interactions, it's the sharp, cutting remarks she made that seemingly went unnoticed by her husband, Kody Brown. Robyn, who has long been the most favored wife in Kody's eyes, is no stranger to criticism. Whether it's her perceived role in driving the other wives away or her close-knit relationship with Kody, which often leaves little room for the others, she's been a polarizing figure throughout the show. But her latest actions, especially her cruel jabs at Kody, remarks laced with sarcasm and loaded with passive-aggressive undertones, are raising more than just eyebrows. The real question on everyone's mind: why did Kody seem so completely oblivious to them? Throughout the recent season of Sister Wives, viewers have witnessed the growing discontent in the Brown family. Kody's strained relationships with his other wives, Christine, Yanel, and Meri, have been well documented, culminating in Christine's departure and Yanel's distancing herself from Kody. Robyn, on the other hand, has managed to maintain her status as Kody's favorite, largely due to her ability to navigate the rocky waters of the family dynamic with precision. However, her latest behavior has left many wondering if there's more going on beneath the surface than anyone realizes. In a recent episode, Robyn delivered a series of passive-aggressive comments that seemed to target Kody's approach to family and his lack of attention to the needs of the other wives. During a conversation about the state of their family, Robyn made a pointed remark about Kody's inability to see things from her perspective, even going so far as to suggest that he didn't understand her emotional needs at all. But the most cutting part of her statements came when she made a backhanded remark about how Kody never truly sees the contributions she's made to the family, implying that she felt taken for granted despite her efforts to maintain a sense of unity. What made these remarks particularly shocking was Kody's complete failure to acknowledge them. Instead of confronting the subtle attack or even appearing to be aware of the hurt in Robyn's words, he brushed off her comments as though they were nothing more than a passing statement. It was almost as if the jabs flew completely over his head, as though he was either too distracted or too oblivious to see the depth of Robyn's dissatisfaction. For many viewers, this was not only perplexing but also revealing. Kody, who has often been criticized for being overly focused on Robyn to the detriment of his other wives, has seemingly missed a crucial opportunity to address the growing rift between them. His silence in the face of Robyn's pointed words raises a host of questions about his emotional awareness, or lack thereof. Is he simply too wrapped up in his own world, too fixated on Robyn's needs, to recognize when she's throwing a barb his way? Or is there a deeper, more troubling reason why he is failing to react to his wife's blatant dissatisfaction? Some fans believe that Kody's disregard for Robyn's passive-aggressive remarks is part of a broader pattern of his failure to see the emotional needs of the women in his life. Throughout the show, Kody has been criticized for his inability to balance the emotional labor required in a polygamous marriage. His relationships with Christine, Yanel, and Meri have often been marked by neglect, with Kody appearing to be emotionally distant and preoccupied with his own personal desires. But Robyn's situation is different. She has been Kody's anchor, the one woman who has been able to cater to his every need and maintain a sense of control over their relationship. However, her recent comments suggest that even she is beginning to feel the strain of Kody's emotional unavailability. By making these subtle jabs, Robyn may be signaling that she is tired of playing the role of the supportive, understanding wife who always bends to Kody's whims. It's also worth noting that Robyn's recent remarks could be an attempt to regain control over her relationship with Kody. While she has been the wife who Kody turns to most often, she may now be seeking more from him than just affection and loyalty. Perhaps her jabs were a way of testing the waters, trying to see if Kody would notice the growing disconnect between them and take action to repair it. But his failure to react could be seen as a sign that he's either unaware or unwilling to address the deeper issues within their relationship. The irony of this situation is not lost on many fans. Kody, who has been publicly berated by his other wives for neglecting their needs, seems to be falling into the same trap with Robyn. Despite her outward appearance of being content and supportive,